So this generation seems to think that not speaking Japanese fluently is a bad thing. Hello, this is Dan from About That Life in Japan. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Hiltz is not here physically, but she's here in spirit. And her spirit has sent me some pretty interesting information. I hope interesting. She sent me some interesting things, and I'm going to take a look and see what she's got me commenting on and giving my old sage opinions about today. So let me get to it.
日本人って外国人嫌いな人多すぎるんですよね。在日の朝鮮の方とか中国の方とかもいますけど、やっぱりそのバッシングする人もいるわけじゃないですか。で、その日本語喋れない人っていうだけで下に見る人って結構多くて、要は日本語が下手だからバカだと思って扱う人って結構いるんですよ。でもよくよく考えてください。彼らは2カ国語喋ってるんですよ。多少の英語も喋れるんですよ。なので3カ国語喋れるんですよ。でもバカだと思って日本語で説教してるおっさんは日本語しか喋れてないんですよ。なので実は外国の人って日本に来ている人は結構優秀なんですよ。でただ白人コンプレックスだけあるので白人だとなんか上に見るんですよ。英語喋ると。なぜか英語とかフランス語喋るとこうで色が白いとなんか上の憧れになって他の言語だと下に見るみたいなっていう割合が割と高いので。
Okay, well, first off, I'm not really familiar with this this gentleman's channel. His Hiroyuki Nuki Mind, maybe. He has obviously taken some time to really consider. I think to consider this this situation, and pretty much it seems like that. Yeah, I could see where some people have concerns with this because obviously Japan's a popular country. It's like one of the most popular countries in the world to visit. Tourism is booming, door gates have opened, and anyone and their mother could come here and enjoy Japan. I think just like most places in the world, obviously you want to come here and respect the culture. Personally, I don't think not speaking the language of a country that you're visiting, not speaking fluently, I don't think that's disrespecting the culture. I think not attempting to communicate in the native tongue of that country that you're visiting, yeah, that I wouldn't say that's disrespectful, but I'd say it's it's not very smart. I mean, obviously, if you're going somewhere, you should be able to, I believe, you should be able to at least greet someone in that native tongue. This is not to say that speaking fluently is or not speaking fluently is a negative thing. I don't believe that, especially as a tourist. I mean, I wouldn't expect someone to come to the United States and speak fluently if English is not their native language. And I wouldn't hold anything against them if they didn't. That's just me. That's just me, my opinion. But if you're going to spend a significant amount of time in that country, I think it would behoove you to, pick up some phrases. I think it would behoove you to speak more of the language. I spent 3 months in Tanzania, the extent of a normal tourist visa, and I did pick up quite a bit of the language, and it helped me immensely. And I'm sure, 1,000%. I benefited from being able to communicate with people more thanks to my ability to pick up some of the language. And I enjoyed my trip in Tanzania that much more. And consequently, I've done over 15 years of business there thanks to being able to communicate more with people there. And of course, just fostering friendships and relationships, it just helps, even though English is not an official second language, but a lot of business is done in English. A lot of the contracts are written in English, but I believe it's beneficial to communicate in the native tongue. It seems to show a sign of respect by trying to communicate in some of the native tongue. With that being said, in my experience, I've been here over 20 years, and I can honestly say, on one hand, this is how many people, maximum, that I felt really offended by because I was a foreigner. And this is not to say they probably didn't like me in their heart. This is just outwardly, I could sense, okay, this person doesn't like me for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I was a foreigner. Maybe it was because of the color of my skin. Maybe it was because of the use of my language or my lack of ability of using Japanese. For whatever reason, 20 years maximum. And this is, I'm a very, very observant person, I believe. I pay attention to how people react. I pay attention to how people speak. And I think at this stage of my life in Japan, I can pick up on the language and how people use the language. And I can sense when the language is being used in a, how should I say, a less, I think I can pick up when the language is being used in a less than comforting way. So I think that, yeah, in my experience, I don't believe majority of my interactions, for the majority of my interactions, I don't believe that I've come across anyone who has not really liked me because I was a foreigner. Again, like I said, maximum. But I can understand how maybe older generations who have had different experiences in dealing with foreigners, I can understand how, not older generations only, anyone all over the world, anyone who's had a different experience, who's had a challenging experience with someone who's not from their country, or just someone within the country, anyone. I mean, obviously, you're going to feel a certain way, and you might not feel that warm towards a person. In this day and age, I find it hard to believe that people really, you're not from here, I don't like you. I don't know. I just can't see that. And I really don't see that being evident in Japan, at least not from my experience. And I've lived in Higashi Osaka, which they call Deep Osaka. I've driven through all over Japan. And I've driven all over Japan. And, okay, I have driven all of Japan in some pretty cool cars. And I'd like to say that I believe that might give me a slight edge in some of these interactions. It's unfortunate that someone looks at something materialistic and kind of gauges you upon that, but that's just the society and the way it is. Some people do that, and I honestly believe that yes, because of some of the cars that I've driven, and I haven't driven anything really normal. I've driven some pretty cool things, and I think that has given the first impression of, oh, hey, this person is not like, yeah, this person might be a little different. And so I have to be honest and say yes. When I first came here 20 years ago, my first car in Japan was a Mitsubishi FTO, and if anyone's familiar, it's the car Jackie Chan drove in one of his movies, and that's why I got it. One, they don't sell Mitsubishi FTOs in the United States, and I knew no one in my circle would even imagine driving that car. Two, it was red, and it was real red. And three, I'm like a black dude driving around in a red Mitsubishi FTO in Oita and Awara Onsen, 20 years ago, that was like, and that's pretty much, yeah, that's how I was introduced to hot springs and onsen. And yeah, so even now when I travel, I drive pretty much everywhere I go in Japan, and I'm in something pretty unique most of the time. So I think that does deliver a different type of first impression. With that being said, I believe my command of the language also helps to further enhance my first impression, especially when traveling to countryside towns and places outside of the city. The other points he pointed out were, related to some of the I guess maybe second, third generation Zainichi, the second, third generation immigrants that were born from South Korea, North Korea, South Korea, China, and they are here in Japan as what do we call them? Tokubetsu Eijuken. I'm a Tokubetsu Eijuken. Special permanent residency, of special visas, and again, Japan has a long history. There have been conflicts, and it's just like being in the South of the United States. I mean, there are people that feel this way about this side. There are people that feel this way about that side. It's history. Yes, it is. But people also remember. So you have to respect the history, one, so we don't do the same crazy things that in the past, and two, so we can actually honor the honor what happened in the past. And if it's to be honored, that is. But yeah, people are here. They are here, and they are in Japan. I don't want to say Japanese citizens, but they are here in Japan, living in Japan. I have heard about there are certain places in Japan that feel or look down upon certain immigrants. That is evident in any country in the world. Just take a look at the United States. Hello, California. Hello, Texas. Hello, anywhere. Hello, Florida. Anywhere where you have people coming into the country, there are going to be some people that feel a certain way and, would prefer. There's just going to be people that feel a certain way. It's not to say it's right, not to say it's wrong. I'm just saying that there are going to be people that feel a certain way. And obviously, in Japan, we have people who are living here, Japanese citizens. They're humans. Obviously, they might feel a certain way about certain people. What are you going to do about it? My Japanese is definitely not perfect. But yeah, maybe they're using Japanese and it's not perfect. And he mentioned that some of these people might be looked down upon because their Japanese is not perfect. I've never felt that. And I've been in several places and I've been like, whoa, hey, he's not Japanese, he's a foreigner, he's working in the convenience store. Oh, he's working the foreigner, working in McDonald's. I've never felt that someone was real, that any of the other patrons were looking down upon them. So the idea that someone might feel and look down upon people, yeah, again, these are humans. The whole Japan is filled with humans. People have different feelings. Obviously, I'm pretty sure some people might feel that way. I've said it 100 times to my students. I've said it several times on my videos. There's always 10%. So I believe this might be a part of the 10% that feel they need to express or look down upon people and openly display it. He mentioned this white person complex, that some people in Japan might have. Again, I've lived most of my life in Japan, in Kansai, and if anyone's familiar with Kansai, Kansai-jin is Kansai-jin. I mean, you're from Kansai. It's like, you wear that with pride. It's just like, I feel it's the same thing when I tell someone, where are you from? When someone asks me, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Texas. It's like, it's, I'm from Texas. And I think Kansai is that way. And I think that's why I love it here. I think what he's saying about this Hakujin complex, this white person superiority complex or inferiority complex, feeling less than, that could be a concern. That could be true for some people, obviously, in Japan or anywhere in the world. I have felt that some of my students felt that because they were not able to communicate in English better, because there was a negative point. I have felt that Japan is a country with people who are very proud of their history, proud of the culture. It's one of the few countries, I believe, it's one of the few nationalities in the world where citizens will go anywhere in the world, travel, work, immigrate, short stay, whatever, anywhere in the world. But I believe from 90% or more, 99% of the people that I've spoken to all want to come back home to Japan. They want to come back home eventually to their home country. This is something that I believe is quite unique to Japan, except for Texas. You bury me in Texas. But I believe this is something that is, yeah, that's really a true sign of someone who's proud of their culture, proud of their country, proud of their nationality. It reminds me immensely of to me, the Bushido, the samurai spirit. That to me is one of the reasons why I came to Japan. That deep love for the culture, for the nationality, nationalist spirit, the from the old days of Yamato, from the like I mentioned, samurai Bushido. This is why I came to Japan. The pride and the respect for ancestors, respect for the history, respect for the country,